The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Welcome to another episode of Gate City Chronicles. I'm Kevin Avard, your host. And today we're going to be talking with a local artist and an illustrator. And I want to welcome Emily Drouin. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Well, great. I'm sitting in front of a whole bunch of books, and apparently you illustrated these.
Yes.
So tell me, it's called Eplis Comic? Eplis Comics. And you developed the stories?
Yep, I actually co-wrote it with my husband, Jeremy. And so we're a collaboration team effort.
Okay.
Making the books. And we have 4 books so far in the series.
Now, you started in Concord area? Doing this? Or?
Oh, actually, the Comic-Con, I also run a kids comic convention called KidComicCon New England.
Okay.
And we started our first year in 2016 in Concord. But then since then, we've been having it right here in Nashua.
So what is that all about?
Yeah, so it's a comic convention. So basically an area where a convention that you can go to and get all family-friendly comics and children's books, and family-friendly artists are there. And we run this event every year. It's Sunday, May 19th at the Radisson, Nashua. And at that event, there are over 80 creators. So parents can come with their kids, and they're all encouraged to dress up like their favorite costume characters.
And you're dressed up today as a character.
Oh yeah, I'm wearing a TARDIS dress.
A TARDIS dress, yeah.
From Doctor Who. Yeah, and I started it because I was very passionate about creating children's books and also comics. And comics are a great way to get kids excited about reading. It's very visually stimulating, and for kids that aren't into the wordy, word books, the picture books really help. And there's been this boom in the past decade of like the Avengers movies and things like that, really making comics popular again. And so I felt the need for there to be a family-friendly event for kids to come. Back when I started doing conventions in 2013, there wasn't much for kids to do at the Comic-Cons I was tabling at with my kids' comics. And so I brought up the idea, why don't I have a family-friendly area at the convention? And I can teach cartooning workshops and do fun games and things with the kids and crafts. So that's what I started doing. And that became so popular. I was running kids zones at Comic-Cons throughout New England. So that I said, let's take it the next step further and devote a whole convention just for kids. So a great way to get parents to know that everything here is family-friendly at KidComicCon New England. Because you go to a lot of shows, and like I would have a little kid comic, and right next to me was a bloody, gory comic. So it can be a little too much for kids to come into. So just something to keep in mind for other types of events. But we're really focused on promoting art education literacy through comics. And we have over a dozen creative workshops, so teaching kids about the arts and the comic arts and how to create comics and inspiring the next generation of comic book creators.
Do you find there's a lot of competition with the electronics versus the comic books? I mean, are kids actually looking at comic books these days?
Yeah, I feel like from everyone I know that they've been saying that kids love the books still. People like the tangibility of that, flipping the pages. People do have a lot of tablets, and I'm sure they can read on there, but I feel like it's not as enjoyable. than actually having a book in your hand.
Well, when I pick up one of these books and I open it up to the first, everything's large.
Yep.
And you get to explore it. And you drew all these.
Yep.
And they get pretty complicated. But, this stuff, it's, if my viewers can see it, but they're, these aren't watercolors, are they?
No, I color digitally on the computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're very involved, big, it catches your eyes, the colors pop out at you.
Thanks. Yeah. I love to color, and I have a very colorful, whimsical style. And my sci-fi series called Eplis is very action-packed, and so it's very, very visually stimulating for kids.
Right.
And yeah, they'll just bury their heads right in it.
What age level is this geared for?
We're geared for ages 5 and up.
5 and up.
So yeah, generally like 5 through 12.
And so it's a collaboration with you and your husband. And what role does he play?
He's the writer.
He writes the stories.
Yep.
So okay, I got a great idea.
Yeah, but then we'll also collaborate, and like he'll do it, and then I'll edit it with him. A lot of times he would write this whole big thing, and I'm like, I can cut off half of that writing and tell it visually,
Right.
with the illustrations, that we don't need as many words to dictate, tell what's going on in the pictures. And that's what I love about illustrating children's books and comics, that you can tell so much with pictures.
Now, do you coordinate with other comic writers, comic book producers?
I have a couple of times. Yeah, I've worked on collaborations. I did a superhero comic with a whole bunch of other artists, Mundane Men. It's about like kind of atypical superheroes. And I also worked on a comic book called Hyperdork, and with a comedian over in LA. And it's about a guy who gets his superpowers from caffeine and coffee. So he's kind of like a nerd, and down on his luck finding love, and gets laughed at and picked on for all the wrong reasons, finally decides to embrace his dorkiness and becomes a superhero, Hyperdork, and ends up saving the day. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun.
American dream.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
kind of all about embracing who you are and accepting who you are and all your quirks.
So you illustrate these books. You also you illustrate for other people, for writers.
Yes, yeah. And right now I'm working on a children's book series, 2 books in The Pumpkin Wizard. So
Right.
yeah,
We were
collaborating
talking
with
a little bit about it off air.
And that's also an anti-bullying book. So it brings it. I love doing stuff that have a great message to it, and and I love to do more.
So if somebody's a writer and they want you to illustrate, do they just contact you? Just email you their transcript?
They can go to my website, either epliscomic.com, epliscomic.com, or Emily at Play, so EmilyAtplay.com, and that's all my children's book illustrations. And
So do you make cool cards for people too?
I could
This is a
design
nice
it too.
business card. It's a really it's a fun business card.
I did go to school for graphic design, and I worked in pre-press for about 6 years. So I learned publishing, and that definitely helped me in self-publishing my comics. All these are self-published, and they're made right here in New Hampshire.
Do you have any
printed.
sponsors or for the events that you go to, or for the do people sponsor your conventions?
Yeah, KidComicCon New England, we're very fortunate to have great sponsors of Parenting New Hampshire. They've been very supportive for us ever since our first year. And Double Midnight Comics, they're located in Manchester and Concord, and they've been great support. And they run a great Comic-Con as well. Granite State Comic-Con, September 14th and 15th this year.
How many are in the
in
state?
Manchester. And there are quite a lot around New England, but not too many in New Hampshire, which I'm surprised for comic conventions.
So when you interact with some of the kids that come to your Comic-Con, they look at the books, and you want to get them involved with art.
Yes.
How does that conversation start? How does that go? What is a typical event like? Kids come in, they look at the books, oh, cool. Or can I draw this, or can I color this? How does that work?
Yeah, I will have, even when I'm tabling or doing my own, doing other people's shows, I will have area where I have lots of paper and stuff, and I'm like, hey, you want to create a comic? And I have templates that I'll give the kids, and let's draw, and let's create a story. And so I really encourage the kids to be creative. And I so wish I had this kind of thing around when I was their age. They didn't have these like Comic-Cons, or things were kind of more hidden, and like, people would go to someone's basement or something, for little tiny get-togethers for comics. And now it's very popular, and it's really
the
great
Marvel comics
time.
have done a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
They with all the series. We were talking off air of the Guardians of the Galaxies. I love that.
Yeah.
It's fun, but based on comic books.
Yeah.
I can remember my brother Mike having a whole closet filled with all of the comic books. I wish I had them now. I'm sure they'd be valuable.
Yeah.
But
Superman. I grew up with Disney Adventures. I was really into Disney comics, and like DuckTales and all that. So that really, I think from the 90s, and that inspired my illustration style too, watching the cartoons and like Tailspin, DuckTales. And so that kind of influenced my style. You can definitely kind of see.
So are you engaged in doing some more of these?
Yep. I'm a little bit behind and trying to get back to it. Each book probably takes like about 800 hours of work. It's a lot of work, yeah. But I'm working on book 5, and as well as I'm also starting, we're going to put on another KidComicCon event in Portland, Maine. So we're reaching out, expanding KidComicCon to more areas in New England. So that will be November 16th in Portland, Maine at the Doubletree.
At the Doubletree in Portland, Maine. Now, is in the same sponsors?
Well, it might be a little different because we're going to be in a different state. So, but we'll see. Yeah.
Do you look for sponsors?
Yeah, definitely. And if anyone wants to even contribute like coloring pages or anything, activities for the kids, and would like to volunteer to teach workshops, we definitely appreciate that as well.
So do you ever get any stories back from children saying, look what I created?
Yeah, it's really funny too. When I've, even my comic books, I've seen kids that would come and they wrote like their own story after my comics, like a sequel or something.
Oh, really?
And but there was one time I met a boy at a convention, and he was going around selling his own comics that he made. He was just going up to table, and it was called Super Cheese. It was like a superhero that was made out of cheese, and
that's a fun thing, right?
Yeah.
That's got to be fun.
So I supported him, and I bought his comic, and
nice.
I really encouraged him to continue. I really want kids to be creative and get off the tablets,
Right.
and get off the screens, and get down and create. So it's really important, and it's great for the mind. And
yeah, I just looking at some of the pictures, it looks as though you do put a lot of thought into it, and they do capture visually the colors and the size and the expressions. But you do it through a computer.
Yeah. I started off the first couple of books, actually inked it by hand, and then I scanned it in. But then I got a drawing tablet, so you'd have to like draw like this, looking at the screen, and that took a long time, getting used to that hand-eye coordination.
Right.
And just recently, earlier, like in October, I finally got a drawing monitor. So that made a big difference. So yeah, I got a Huion, and it's really great. I know there's so many out there, but you just basically you draw right on it, and it's very close to having that brush stroke feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any events coming up in Nashua, or that people can come to?
Yeah. So the show coming up May 19th. It's on a Sunday. KidComicCon New England, which I run.
Okay.
And that's Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And it's a great event. We have over 80 creators. There's also special.
You have 80 creators. Oh, wow. So this is not going to be a small event.
We have children's comic book creators, children's book illustrators, authors, artists. We also have special guest Nancy Krulik. She's the 3-time New York Times bestselling author. She's done the Princess Pulverizer series and George Brown Class Clown, but she's also known for the Magic School Bus.
Okay.
So she's going to be there. And we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle legend Jim Lawson.
Oh, okay.
He's worked for over 20 years on that. He's going to be there. And the original Paddington Bear artist, R.W. Alley, is going to be there as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow,
so-
that's local here in Nashua?
Yep.
At the
Radisson.
At the Radisson.
Yeah, it looks like a castle right
Yeah.
off of Exit 1. And the
Perfect.
kids, they see that. And there's also tons of superheroes and princesses. And we have Royal Academy, Pirate Camp, Jedi training, everything going on. And tabletop gaming with the Game Makers Guild. There are local people that make games, tabletop games. And the kids can even learn how to create their own games, too, as another workshop.
Well, you caught me at the
activity.
Jedi training.
Yeah, the kids love that. Yeah.
You know, I go by Grilly Park occasionally, and there are people that are dressed up kind of like cosplay, but they're doing sword fights out and practicing sword fights, but with, I don't know what. It just looks like some type of comic thing going on, but they're serious.
Yeah. Well, with ours, we have very safe materials like
these are
rubber
safe.
foam
Yeah.
noodles. And things.
Well, that's
So,
what
yeah.
it looks like. They're playing with, but
Yeah.
they look like serious. And you got an instructor showing them how to parry and thrust and all that.
But we do have some lightsabers too that they'll use for light up. But when certain activities, they'll do the foam noodles. Others they'll do when they're doing the going back and forth. They'll do the lightsabers that look like lightsabers.
And it's open to the public.
Yep.
Anybody can come.
And kids under 5 are free. And it's basically $0 to $12 for admission. Includes everything, all the workshops and activities.
Okay.
And yeah, it's a ton of fun.
And how's the message getting out there? Just through, obviously, through this show. Are you doing any other shows to advertise this? Or?
Yeah, I'm doing some other local access in Exeter next week.
Great.
And also we're running in Chunkies too. So at the movies, in between the movies, you can see our KidComicCon commercial there.
Oh, cool.
That actually I created and I did the voice for.
Nice.
And my husband did help me with the editing. But yeah, and then, just putting the word out on social media. And we appreciate too if anyone would like to reach out and share our event. We're on Facebook, KidsCon New England.
I was going to ask you, are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
You must.
You can look up kidsconne.com. So KidsCon New England. Yeah.
So how did you network with 80 different folks? This is a popular thing. This is all new to me. So
Yeah. Well, being an artist, and I have a lot of friends in the field. We work at conventions together, and from just talking about it and working together, develop that network, and everyone's really supportive, and it's great to have that family. We call it like a Comic-Con family.
So it's something some kids can relate to too. It's something they can get involved with. I know kids learn differently, and some kids are really good readers, and some kids are not. And I fear for those kids that struggle reading because they feel like they're falling behind.
Yeah.
And this is a nice way to get them into liking it and
definitely.
getting the eye contact, engaged with their mind instead of just looking at TV or videos.
Yeah, and even if they're having trouble with certain words, they can see the emotion in the character. They're like, okay, that character is sad, that character is happy and scared, and those kinds of things. Especially people who have problems too visually, or like autistic kids,
Right.
and comics can really help them in the reading.
Yeah, and maybe dyslexic.
And that, too, just a lot of.
It's great. It's nice that this is here in Nashua too. So it's going to be a nice event. And again, it's the May 19th.
Yep.
Okay, and it'll be at the Radisson.
Yeah, the Radisson and
The castle.
All your favorite superheroes. We have so many, like 30 of them, and princesses. Like, you don't need to go to Disney. Come to our event.
No, that's great.
You'll see them all. But it's a lot of fun. And we encourage families to all dress up. We have a family costume contest, and also kids costume contest. You can win all kinds of prizes, and it's a lot of fun to get the parents involved and the kids, and
It does sound like a
everyone
lot
has a
of
great
fun.
time.
Great. Are there any final messages other than you just come to the event May 19th and see what it's all about?
Yeah, and you can get our tickets on our website. So it's kidsconne.com. And I have a little poster too. I actually illustrated this poster as well.
This is the poster we were seeing a little bit earlier, and you drew this as well.
Yep. Yeah, our mascot is the dragon.
Do you add new characters to with each new book, or just a different storyline?
They do encounter new friends that they'll meet on their journey. Yeah, my comic book Eplis. It's a sci-fi action adventure. Basically, Dr. Archimedes creates this device called Eplis, and it uses this energy source, and the Krios are after it. And
the Krios must be the bad
these
people.
Aliens, yeah, they're after that energy. But an accident happens, and the Eplis wasn't quite complete, and it ends up sending Dr. Archimedes through space and time. So his family and friends are off trying to find him, and he leaves clues behind. So it's kind of like a scavenger hunt through space, and they go on all these wild adventures in time.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
And so then it's limited. It's like a Doctor Who in a way.
Yeah.
But well, thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
And wish a great turnout for May 19th.
Thanks.
That sounds like a fun event for the kids.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I just to make kids excited about reading and also about the arts. It's a great event.
On the art level, what are they? Obviously there's the reading part, but what are some of the things that they can take away from an event like this, learning about art, that they can do it?
Yeah, we have a variety of workshops. So like I said, over a dozen for all age levels. So in all different age capabilities. Like if you're not a very good artist, we have workshops for very basic, like learn how to draw expressions and learn how to draw figures, and then learn how to draw comics, and then how to create engaging stories. We'd have workshops on that, as well as fun activities for the younger kids, like creating a cow mask from this girl's children's book series, Mrs. Moo Moo. And we have, we have a couple of cow illustrators there. It's really awesome. And as well as we're going to have sing-along and story time, and R.W. Alley's going to do a book reading too for the kids, and a drawing demo, as well as a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle guy. Jim Lawson will also be teaching kids how to draw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles too. So there's all sorts of fun.
Yeah, that's neat. If you can walk away and learning how to draw something, that's always a conversation piece.
Yeah, and parents can draw too, so
Right.
they're welcome to join in on the workshops.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, and I wish you the best. And I think I'd like to go to that. So, if you want to go to that, May 19th, and learn how to draw, or if you want to have a fun activity for your young ones, bring them to this event. It sounds like a fun time. Until next week, thanks for watching Gate City Chronicles.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Calling all kids and comic book fans. It's time for the 4th annual KidCon New England, the largest kids comic and children's book convention in the region. Meet over 70 artists and creators with incredible books and art to add to your collections. Hang out with your favorite superheroes, play with pirates and princesses, Jedi training, Pokemon and Minecraft tournaments, costume contests, and join in on over a dozen creative workshops. Plus playtest up-and-coming board games with the Game Makers Guild, featuring special guests Paddington Bear artist R.W. Alley, New York Times best-selling author Nancy Krulik, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle artist Jim Lawson and Ian Chase Nichols. You don't want to miss this. Join us Sunday, May 19th from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Radisson in Nashua, New Hampshire. Get tickets now at kidsconne.com.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.